Hi guys, it's Dan and Mariah here, and today we're going to be talking about the 2 months before we started officially dating and why it was that we didn't talk for that entire 2 months.
So in March and April of 2018, me and you did not talk at all on purpose.
Dangerous.
We weren't fighting.
Controversial, risky.
Yep.
Those
it
are words that I
shocked
would
people.
use to describe.
It
Why-
actually,
why did
there
we-
actually is good words to describe it.
Why would you say we did that? Like invite our friends in to why we decided to do it, what initiated it.
Yeah. So Daniel and I met September 2017, became friends, started talking, started liking each other, and both of us wanted to be very intentional about the next person we were in a relationship with.
Because we were both in like longer term relationships prior to meeting one another.
Yeah.
And those relationships were both over 2 years long. I think within the kind of period where we were getting to know each other, we're like, okay, we want to be intentional about honoring each other's time, respecting each other's people. So let's be pretty intentional. Like we didn't put any like crazy undue weight on every conversation,
Yeah.
like a test or
Yeah.
a job interview or something. But there was this like measure of intentionality.
Yeah.
And
Not wanting
importance
to
placed on
go
it.
through a breakup again just because we're like, I like this person and I want to date them.
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
So that kind of, we had months where we talked all the time. We were long distance, so we had a lot of FaceTime calls, hours and hours of talking, and then kind of led us to this place of like, okay, we want to take the next step of becoming official or whatever you want to call it, but we just felt like something else was needed, and that's when you brought this idea to me.
Yeah, so I remember like thinking of the idea. I don't know what
Yeah.
I was doing, but I was like, oh, it'd be great to have a season, like a long season, where we aren't talking to each other, aren't hanging out regularly, aren't, you know what I mean? Like engaging in the like excitement of a relationship so that we can remove the emotion and really make I guess, more well-informed like decision as to whether we both wanted to go forward with it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when you're in this gear of dating or going on dates with people, you can get so swept up in the romance, the excitement of it. I like this person likes me. And you can forget that you're not just dating or getting to know someone who you're going to be going on dates for the rest of your life, but you're also going to be dating the future mother of your kids or father of your kids. You're going to be dating your life partner, the person who's going to be sitting beside you in grief, in frustration, in stress, all the different things that come at you from life. This is your partner in that.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't being clouded by like how much I liked you and how much I thought you were amazing and how much fun we were having, so that we can make a very clear decision as to whether we should go forward with it.
Yeah, and I feel like people might be watching this thinking, oh, that sounds really serious for like you're not even dating yet.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it was serious because
serious.
we were serious about making the decision about who we wanted to marry one day. And that's a big decision. And I think it starts before you're dating, when you're talking to someone, when you're getting to know someone.
Yeah.
So
And then, how did it feel to you, like when I brought it up? Because we've talked about this before, but yeah, I want to hear you reflect on that.
when you brought me that idea of not talking for 2 months, I was like, man, I want to date you like right now. I don't want to like stop talking to you for 2 months. And I was like, why 2 months? And I remember you said, it's a challenge. Like 1 month wouldn't be challenging enough, but 2 months feels like that length of time that actually kind of removes you from the person. And a layer I do, like I said this earlier, but I think it's important to add, is that we were long distance, so we didn't have to like avoid each other for 2 months. Like we had our own lives in different cities, and so it was easier that way. But yeah, I remember thinking, At first, I did not like the idea.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I didn't like the idea, but then I definitely warmed up to it.
Yeah.
For sure. And to the point where I agreed with it and I was pumped on it.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like, you know how people say you shouldn't go grocery shopping when you're hungry?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like, because the idea is like, don't get swept up in the emotion of like hunger.
Yeah.
You feel like, oh, I see this bag of cookies, or I see this like jug of orange juice, or whatever it is that gets you. Mariah and I are in like a big orange juice craze right now.
Yeah, we are.
But like, don't let like, I guess, your mind take a break when you're grocery shopping because you're hungry. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Don't let your feelings dictate your decisions. And I think it's like a similar kind of thing that applies to relationships. It's like, don't make life decisions based on your temporary feelings. Like, allow yourself. So I guess what we took that 2 months, and some people will ask like 2 months, like why that time?
Yeah.
I think the most simple answer is because it was harder than 1 month.
Yeah.
Because 4 weeks is like 4 weeks isn't that bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I don't know. But I felt like 8 weeks, 2 months is like, felt like significant. And and I personally am a sucker for challenge.
Yeah.
So it felt like, okay, let me bring this up, even though I wanted to say 1 month, because like I didn't want to go 8 weeks without talking to you.
Yeah.
I knew the 2 month kind of challenge was the right kind of length. And so we took the 2 months, met with counselors, like clinical counselors, met with friends, mentors, pastors in our lives, to really like ask hard questions.
Yeah. And spent a lot of time just like journaling, reflecting.
Yeah.
And also we wrote each other a letter every week, but didn't send it.
Yeah.
We kept it. And so that was cool too.
Sometimes I think like, what would have happened, because we wrote these letters with the hope that we would be getting back together. Like, what would we have done, do you think, with the letters if we hadn't gotten back together? You would have shredded them, would have burnt them. Would have dried my tears with them.
But I will, like, halfway through, we did put in, like, a short phone call to be like, okay, are you on the same page?
Yeah.
Because it would have been hard if, like, the first week I felt like, yeah, you know what, this relationship isn't for me. And then I had to wait 7 more weeks to tell you that.
Or even vice versa.
Yeah.
If you knew after week 1 that you didn't want to continue with it, and I'm holding on for 8 weeks knowing that this is the love of my life, just for you to break my heart 7 weeks later.
Yeah. It's like...
So we put a quick phone call, I think it was like 25 minutes or whatever, where we were just like saying like, hey, are we both still in, or are we both out? Where are we at?
I was so nervous for that call.
It was like, okay, what if, because I knew I was in, but I was like, oh, what if we get to the point and she's just like, oh, sorry, like,
I know.
Yeah.
I remember, like, I think we FaceTimed, and I was waiting, or, like, when you answered, you were like, Mariah! And then I just was like, okay, things are probably good.
Yeah.
Because you probably wouldn't, like...
and then crash it right down.
Yeah. I also had just a memory as we were talking that I remember going on Facebook at some point of the 2 months, and you had changed your profile picture, and it was the first thing that popped up on my feed, and I was like, and I remember just being so like taken aback by this new picture of you. It's like so funny to think about it now, but it almost felt like weird to look at the picture because I was like, we're not supposed to be talking. Like, I don't know. It felt like I was like creeping to see what you're doing on social media or something. And
this is something, a part of the 2 months that I'm not quite sure on the details of, but you know how we took videos before?
Oh, yeah.
Was it before? For us to watch during?
During, yeah.
So we took videos independent of each other for the other person.
Yeah.
Basically what we were hoping to get out of the 2 months, what we were praying for that 2 months. And we sent it to each other, but the idea was that we would watch, because there were, I think, 8 videos that we sent each other, but we'd watch each 8 week, or each of the 8 videos for each of the weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
This is a video for you to have for the next 2 months, in case you're, tearing up, crying, whatever, the usual, because you miss me so much.
Hey Mariah, it's about 8:47 on Wednesday morning. It's the last day of February 28th, so you know what that means. After today, we won't be talking for 2 months. It was like a fun kind of way to really remind ourselves of what it was for.
Yeah.
What else did you say? Like, what else would you say the the 2 month period was useful for, like for your personal kind of journey?
I think for me, it was just a really good time to look at the relationship and be like, okay, is this really good for me? Or is this really what God wants in my life? And I think when you're really excited and you're talking to someone every day and you're going on trips to see them or whatever, it's hard to like fully hold the relationship with an open hand.
Yeah.
Because you just want it to work out so bad. And like, I think a layer two for me, like I wasn't single for a super long time, but I had, like when I met you, I was like, oh my gosh, the person I'm looking for like exists. That's the thought I had. And so to think about it ending was like so hard to even think about. So that 2 months kind of gave me room to healthily like look at the relationship, maybe more logically or just without feelings attached, and be like, okay, is this really what God wants for my life?
Yeah.
And so that's what it was really good for. And I feel like the importance of it being 2 months long, like you can't, I don't know if you can really do that in like a week or even a month.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that for me, the 2 months was really helpful for like assessing even who I was as a person and who you were as a person, and asking myself not only the question like, oh, is she bringing to my life, or is she adding to my life what I need in a significant other, but I also got to like challenge myself and be like, based on the amazing potential she has, based on her like hopes and her ideal futures, can I be the person that is the best to push her forward towards that?
Yeah.
And I think that in relationships, it's so important to have that like legitimate conversation and not just name it, because I feel like sometimes it's easy to name, oh, that person's not the right person for me, but it's harder to name, I'm actually not everything that they need in a significant other. And that can be hard to name as well, but I think that because we're dealing with people, like we're not dealing with something light, we're dealing with someone's life. You know what I mean? So we have to have that like honest hard conversation with ourselves and be like, oh no, they actually need more than what I can offer.
Yeah.
And so that was a important, I guess, point of thought.
Yeah.
During that 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like? Do you remember when we started talking again?
Yeah.
The 2 months was over. We were on the same page.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It felt like a relief. It felt like exciting because we were now pursuing a relationship. We knew that we'd be dating soon, and we ended up dating and obviously getting married. And I was just so glad we took that 2 months, because it's just like 2 months in light of a year is a lot of time.
Yeah.
But in light of a lifetime together isn't that long. So I'm so glad we took that, because that really gave us the opportunity to lay a foundation, like spiritually, emotionally, relationally.
Yeah.
That really set us, and we're still like reaping the benefits of that 2
Yeah.
months, I'd say.
Like I think I've been shocked by how much that 2 months has affected even 4 years into marriage. Like, it's just been so beautiful. It was so worth it. I think it was a hard sacrifice, but to see like, the benefits in even just like how solid we felt about each other when we started dating, and then just like how every step forward just felt smooth and right, because we had put in the pre-work. And that doesn't mean we don't still work at our relationship and still work through things and stuff like that. But I think, you're right. It laid such a good foundation for us.
And just to even add more flesh to it is like, 'cause some people might be asking like, oh, it's nice that you're still feeling the effects of it, but like,
what does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? Is there anything tangible you can give me? And I'll share. I don't know if you want to share something, but I'll share something. It's like, I feel like I made some like commitments to myself as to what kind of man I wanted to be for you, that I'm still like holding myself to. And if I hadn't had those 2 months, I don't think I would have been as clear as like the like even like the way I would prioritize pushing you towards your goals, and like and just being that support system. And it just feels like super clear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you can think of that way?
I think for me, clear on our direction together as a couple. And I think maybe we didn't know the full picture. We still don't know the full picture, probably, when we were in that 2 months or after it. But we knew generally where we were both going as individuals and how it fit together.
Yeah.
And I think that has really carried us through decision making as we've been married. Yeah.
So it's not for everyone, but it's definitely something worth considering for any relationship where you're at as you look towards or hope for a potential step towards marriage. Those were our thoughts. Would love to hear any questions, follow-up questions you might have in response to this conversation. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe. Any other notes from you?
No, we just love to hear from you guys. If you've done something like this or if you want to try it, let us know. But yeah, we'll talk to you next week.